Hey guys, Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. We're here with Mark Anderson of American Free Press, and you've been covering the Bilderberg Group for quite some time now. Tell us a little bit about what your experience has been when you started covering Bilderberg up till now.
It's been pretty exciting. It started in Spain in 2010, then 2011 St. Moritz, Switzerland, 2012 Chantilly, last year Watford, and now my fifth year covering it here in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's been exciting of those years up till and through 2012, I worked with Jim Tucker, my predecessor, who was, more or less the original Bilderberg hound after the columnist Westbrook Pegler first knew about the Bilderbergers way back in the 1950s when they began.
And what are your goals when you attend these types of meetings? Is it about documenting the delegates, or do you have other things you hope to achieve while being here in Copenhagen?
Everything. Documenting who's here, discerning what they're talking about, looking at what they talked about in the last few years and extrapolating how it carries over into the future, because they're not doing flash in the pan stuff. They obviously do things that are long-range goals to a large extent. So they're going to be carrying things over. They're going to be doing things like that, and extending their objectives forward. So it takes a lot of cross-referencing and research, but eventually you figure out the patterns, you see the dots connecting, and ultimately though, because it's private behind the throne government that they do, a style of private governance where they don't need to cast resolutions, ultimately, because that's so undemocratic, the ultimate goal is to see them shut down, to close the books on Bilderberg.
Now, how important do you think it is to bring this information to the public? Because it seems they're not getting it from the mainstream. Is that some of the focus as well?
It is for you, clearly, and it is for me, clearly. The mainstream either just playing with the issue or not covering it, or focusing more on protesters and not really focusing on all the wealth and power that's colluding inside, both public and private. They create a void. The void is filled by the up-and-coming alternative media, and in turn, we have something very important to bring to the public that they otherwise wouldn't get. And this helps explain the inexplicable. A lot of people wonder, why is the tax system the way it is? Why is the monetary system the way it is? Why did this guy become prime minister and not that person? Why does it seem like the elections are rigged? This begins to answer those questions.
And how do we solidify that in the minds of the masses? How do we get people to understand just how nefarious this organization is?
It would help right now if the Nigel Farages and Marie Le Pens of the world, in the wake of the Eurosceptic elections where so many anti-EU parties are winning European and local elections, it would help a great deal if they would talk about Bilderberg and others that won elections among these populist parties and connect the idea that Bilderberg helped create the common market and the European coal and steel community that was connected with the early Bilderbergers, and that the EU they're fighting is a Bilderberg creation. And therefore they could plug the Bilderberg name into the anti-EU Eurosceptic movement and really give it currency, really give it a viral effect that this is a Bilderberg-rooted thing that they're fighting against electorally.
I think that's excellent advice, and I want to thank you for kind of taking the torch, from Jim Tucker and carrying on through. Where can people go to learn more about Bilderberg from you guys?
AmericanFreePress.net is the main thing. Through that website, you can contact the United States. If you don't mind my saying, a physical address is 645 Pennsylvania Avenue Southeast, Suite 100, Washington, D.C. 20003, if you'd like. But we're part of the growing constellation of alternative media, of which you're a part too, sir, and thanks for this interview. And we have a marketplace here. We have a market niche to fill because the mainstream media is failing us. And the last thing I'll add is the mainstream European media that Jim Tucker helped wake up to Bilderberg. I'm sorry to say that their Bilderberg coverage, that heavier coverage they used to do, is beginning to wane. And the U.S. media, relatively speaking, always had kind of a blackout, and now we see the mainstream here in Europe starting to lose the Bilderberg beat, and that's unfortunate.
Right. Well, I think as far as the movement, so to speak, is we do have a bit of a momentum as far as people starting to get more and more interested in these things. So I hope to see you at the next year's one, and hopefully it'll be getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we continue to cover these events.
Yeah, with the one caveat that if they were to stop this private governance, then we'd have the delicious and delightful task of not having to go.
Yeah, very true. That would be nice. People don't realize it's not like we're on vacation here. This is hard work.
It is very hard work. It is called no sleep and all work, very little play. But thanks again, and hopefully we can keep all government public and keep it all accountable.
Absolutely. It's all about keeping these guys transparent. Thank you once again for talking to us. Keep up the great work.
Thanks a lot.